is for me. Probably what I'm doing. Every day in the studio. Every day in the studio. Every day no fully shit. In the streets with the Yeezys on. In the streets with the hoodie up.
4-pack or whatever.
No.
I know on like Instagram I've been seeing like a lot of those kinds. And they're like live stream ones, but you comes in like a pack of 4, so you can like have them all different.
Oh,
ways.
that shit's dope.
Yeah.
No. Mevo.
Mevo start.
Mevo. Exactly.
What was
Gotta hear
No rule. I'm a guest. I don't have to be like, welcome to Opening Presents. Welcome to my podcast. We talk about enlightenment and shit. I'm like, I want to see like what your guys' line is.
All right.
Like, push it.
All right.
He said,
All right.
God
Let's
damn
try
it.
not to touch the mic stands when I was editing the one that's going to drop tomorrow. It was so much like.
do we have to be like on it, or can it be like right here?
So I would just say, make adjustments. I would say try to be as on it as possible, but like if you need to adjust, try to do it less. Try to do it right now. All right. All right, team.
Recording?
It's how
He got the button right here.
it's my anxiety.
That's not the button.
Oh, it's already recording.
The sound's recording. Just making sure the video's recording.
Yeah. So Arthur, if it pops up or says anything, let me know.
All right, yeah.
I got you.
We're good.
All right.
He.
All right, team. Hey,
No.
Games.
podcast /
Show.
Why? Oh, it was
Oh,
okay.
my gosh.
Wow, these
Oh, my gosh.
oddball sounds.
Oh, my
okay.
God.
Thank you.
Back with
Welcome to the most dangerous, most travelingest podcast in Portland.
Man.
The Play No Games podcast / show, and yet again,
Different location every week.
man, by George, we here
pop
there.
up.
Yeah, we be popping up.
But
It's we're recording it during Thanksgiving time, but we give us a plate. We show up places. We get plates, and we like that cousin. Hey, cousin, that's what we like. We like that cousin.
that only show up around Thanksgiving time.
Exactly. But we give you good nutrients. But the reason why and for people who are seeing this on visual, you see this wonderful being. We will talk about this guy in a moment, but I just want to say, where are we at, gentlemen?
Can I say the location?
I usually don't like to talk shit, but
we kind of upgraded. Upgrade on their ass.
streets.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, Cost, where we at, man?
We're at Capitol Bar in North.
No,
Okay. Can't be that descriptive.
Can't be that descriptive.
All right,
They gonna
we're at
pull up on
Capitol
us.
Bar.
Oh
There we
man,
go.
dang! And we ain't playing no games up in this, yeah, right? So, the reason why I say that is
God.
because I at least want to start by congratulating the podcast, and I want to say congratulating us because we wouldn't be here if we didn't bet on ourselves. So, I at least before we start the show today, I just want to individually thank each one of you, Arthur, Koss, Robert. I love talking about myself in third person.
Robert.
But
This dude.
hey, we're gonna keep doing these things because listeners, we're trying to take you to a higher vibration with, we're making it and you're with us during the struggle because everyone does this when they've already blown up.
Yeah.
But long story short, we can let you know that regular folks can get a piece of this pie. But when you bet on yourself, things happen. But I've rambled enough.
Yes.
On this side note,
On a side note, I got man, he's got an open presence over
a
there.
luxurious guest over here.
Illustrious. And we'll just say this because I don't want to cap. I literally met this guy like a month ago, and my friend Josh Melu, he was like, Rob, you gotta meet this dope guy. Like his show, his vibe, his presence is something that you should be around. And Josh was like, just talk to him. And I was able to talk to Aaron Robinson. And Aaron Robinson, when I say just from our very first conversation, we always talk about being balanced and us holding things accountable and things like that. he's one of the like pioneers when it comes to podcasting and when it comes to being honest and true to yourselves. And I was like, man, we gotta have this guy on the show. And I had the pleasure to be on his show. And hopefully this opens up where y'all can be on his. And hey, we gotta bring him into the Play No Games Gauntlet.
Man, let's see how them games
see how he's gonna do
Gauntlet.
it. But without further ado, Mr. Aaron Robinson.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like to be a pioneer, you have to wear plaid. I already got the beanie on, but I'm missing the plaid.
Oh man!
And before we congratulations to you guys, but we have to have a cheers to that. We can't do it. Where's your cup?
I didn't grab one. That's okay.
All right, knuckles are cool.
There you go.
But congratulations to you guys because
Yes, sir.
I'm very similar on that same grind, just trying to make it. But believing in ourselves is like the first thing, and how big of a hurdle that is just to get at square one. Where you're like, oh, I don't care what anybody else thinks about this mission.
Yeah.
They can't see it. That's okay. I could see it. So for all of us to be on that path, I'm grateful to find some running mates.
See, look at that. Look at that. All out the gate giving you jewels, man. It's diamonds out here being made, man. Diamonds out here. Put pressure on y'all. Tap in, man.
So usually, as I told you before, and to our faithful listeners, like I told you, we started from a full relationship podcast, and then we've developed to popular culture, and then just self-improvement, and then all that in a nice little bow.
Yeah.
So definitely we will ask you some relationship things.
Yeah, let's touch on all of it.
We're gonna touch on all of it. We're gonna touch on all of it. But I think what I would love to start with first is like there's a lot of people, and we talked about this on your show. A lot of people podcast, right? And before we start talking about your show and things like that, what does it take to be a podcaster? People hear it from us, but what does it take to be a podcaster?
What does it take to be a podcaster? I think it's a point of view that you're willing to put everything on. It's like when you put it on wax and you like click upload, it's like I am putting my full self out there and I feel comfortable with what that is. And I don't like the vulnerability is a component to it. Some people just try to entertain and they'll just say wild shit. But at the end of the day, you still have to be accountable to the things that you're saying. But yeah, it's owning the perspective, and then it's just taking the leap. Because that was the biggest thing for me. Like I started like a fantasy football podcast when I was like early 20s, and I was like, oh, Tyreek Hill and da-da-da-da, and just talking about these things.
Been around it.
But then like I like stopped drinking alcohol, and then I stopped watching football and realized the relationship between those two. And then where does the football podcast go when you don't really give a shit about football anymore? You can curse on here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that just dwindled, and then it was like, yo, like I've always had a perspective, a strong perspective that I was afraid to share when I was young. And this is the place where there's no like speed limit, no restrictor plates. Like I don't have to be like the no lock having like LinkedIn profile, like trying to impress anybody. It's like, yo, if you can't accept the whole me, then you don't deserve me. So I think just taking that declarative stance and being like, I'm going all in on me. That's what podcasting has done for me is created like an outlet for that. So anybody seeking an outlet to fully express their dynamic selves and not limit themselves to this little box of employment or whatever, gainful employment, and step into entrepreneurship or whatever. I think that's what it takes. That belief. I can go on like 20 hours because it's just like stream.
We had the same thing on our show. Like I know you can hold your own, my man. And my thing is like, I want you to feel at home, and obviously we'll respectfully interrupt each other and things like that. But like we don't have to be so like I don't say politically correct, but like but it's like I want you to feel at home.
We're just warming up.
Absolutely.
But
my first question is like I was listening to one of your podcasts and you talked about your history and like in media in college, going to school for how has that like impacted what you do now?
Oh, I guess I don't even know because it took me so long to finally like step into it. Because it's like I got this degree that was in like producing and directing and doing video, and like I didn't pick up a camera and actually shoot photos until like 3 years ago. I was like
Oh, wow.
20, like I got a degree, had the nice camera, didn't use it for 10 years because I was like afraid of it or just didn't know how to commit myself to it. So I don't even think it helped really, honestly, because it's like I feel like I just learned all these new things. I think I learned more about myself. Like the self-knowledge is kind of like where everything blossoms from, not like, oh, I went to school to learn this thing. It's like relationship building, like going out there and trying to find people with similar interests and connecting and having genuine relationships throughout the city who are able to like hit me up and be like, oh, like we're doing like a thing over here. Like, do you want to be a PA on it? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I have a friend that I graduated with. His name is Will Orantes. He's in the Bay. But like he comes up, he's a dope director and a DP, but like he'll come up here for like work with like Dame and stuff like that. And he'll hit me up because a couple years ago, he asked me if I wanted to assist on something. And I just went up to Seattle, drove around, like bought everybody lunch. Like I didn't pay for it, but just was willing to help. It's like, I want to be like a conduit for everybody's success. And I have my own way of going about it. And it may not necessarily like fit the job description, like to the T. Like the impact that I make is immeasurable, but it's extremely quantifiable within the people that I'm working with. It's like, oh yeah, like I love working with that guy, and becoming that person that people want to work with is how every single door opens, not your qualifications.
Makes sense.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
I do. I really do. I really do. Like, it's so weird because like when I was on your show, I was having such an awakening of like the second, like I scoffed at this at the beginning when my brother was saying this. He was like, you know, all adults have to go through like a second puberty. And like, I feel like I've always been like really mature and like really on your podcast, I was really like in a chrysalis and I was like, ugh. And then now like 2 weeks, 3 weeks removed from it, I'm just like, shit, I'd be doing some shit now. I'm just like, damn, I was arrogant. Like, even though I wasn't, but I was still naive. So I get that so much when you say that more now.
Yeah, I had a question actually, and you alluded to it earlier a little bit. You know, part of having a guest, we got to do a little research. So I saw it.
I know. What are y'all seeing?
So I'm not like Nardwar. Don't worry, I don't know everything about it. But yeah, but I saw that post you made about sobriety, and you had mentioned earlier about like quitting drinking beer and this stuff. Just wondering if you are comfortable to talk about it. Kind of like
for sure. Trying to get everybody to stop drinking that port. No, I'm playing.
I mean, kind of like a 2-part question. What was like the straw that broke the camel's back? Where you're like, all right, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
And then 2, like, how has that journey kind of been for you with sobriety?
Okay. So the straw that broke the camel's back. I think it was after me and my brother lost our mother in 2017. And it was like a whole year, like coming up on a year since her passing.
Sorry for your loss, man.
Thank you so much. And to that point, I was like, okay, years gone by, I lost my mom. I'm still here, but I'm still not happy. And one thing that she always told me was like, get happy. Cause she always like saw that I was like kind of like morose and just like unhappy with how things have gone as far as like relationships or schooling and friendships and not feeling fulfilled or even heard where I grew up. And it was just like similarly a lot of people have this experience of just like being like the only Black kid in a school or whatever, but having these big ideas, but nobody to really relate them to. And it's just like, yo, like nobody understands these things. I can see like, not like I see ghosts or anything, but just like I can see things and things are very obvious how society interconnects and how people speak and move and talk to one another. And I'm seeing a lot of things, but nobody's seeing the same things. So my mom, like as all mothers are, very intuitive and know when their sons are not happy. She would always tell me like, get happy. And a lot of that unhappiness was kind of tied to like wanting to make her happy and just being like, okay, I want to work at these companies and I want to do this, but it wasn't really like what I wanted to do. So coming up on that year anniversary, I was like, yo, like what can I do to actually like change the ship? Because it's like I go to the gym here and there. I do some healthy things, but there's this one thing called alcohol in my life that whenever I go to it and I press it all the way to the end, it never gives me what I want. Like what I want at the end of it is a bad one with a big old ass in my bed. But most of the time it just ends up me being at the bar, just like sloppy, and then just in this very like lustful, desirous place of just wanting something, wanting company, wanting this void filled, and trying to find it either in the cup or in somebody else.
Yeah.
And once I realized that, I was like, okay, like I'm done running this race, was when I just pulled it away. And it was a lot of negotiating over the next couple of months. I did like 3 months, and then I was like, all right, I did 3 months sober. I'm gonna drink like in New York, because I was going to New York in 2019, just to visit a friend and stuff. And like I drank, and I was just like, this ain't it. like I went back, and I was like convinced. I was like, yo, this isn't for me anymore. So in fitting, my sobriety date is September 11th. So it's like, so I was like the day afterwards, I got to go to see Ground Zero on 9/11.
Wow.
And that being like my sobriety date is so symbolic and multi-leveled, where it's just like, yo, like it means something different for me now.
Yeah.
Because like the Twin Towers of Racer 5 and Sierra Nevada or whiskey or whatever, like alcohol was that significant part of my life that I was willing to let go of. And everything's opened up since then. It's like I got to reintroduce myself to myself. Like I was like, oh shit, you are worthy of love. You are funny. You are intelligent. You are all of these things that I'm still learning new parts of myself the longer and longer I go. So yeah, it's a beautiful journey. And it's like, I don't judge people who do drink or whatever. It's just like, it's the choice that I have to make every day. It's not like a one and done. It's like every single day. It's like choosing like, all right, it's not a conscious thing anymore. It's just like a part of me now, but every single day is a choice. And that snowball effect of like the momentum, it's like, yo, like where else can I make these decisions and have my whole world shift? And that translates over to diet.
Yep.
That translates over to exercise. So many different things. Any type of consumption we have, it's all relationships. And once we kind of pull the wires out of like, yo, like my relationship to food is the same thing as it was to alcohol. I use it to suppress and to run away from emotions and all that kind of stuff. Then you can address the larger relationships that we have.
And it's so crazy because like that's where I tend to focus, is more on that health and wellness side of things. And it really like triggers the mind, being able to like be highly sensitive and focused. I've been vegetarian for going on 6 years. And so it's like, people always ask me like, how do you do it? How do you stay? And it's like you said, it's just like, it's a choice. And it's like being able to understand and comprehend what I'm putting in my body in that aspect of food. It becomes like a process. It's almost like motivating in the same sense.
Oh, it is. When you're rolling, especially even like when you guys are talking about the podcast, when you're on like episode like 10, 15, 16, and then it just like keeps on climbing, and you're like, wait, like there's a grip of these things right now, and I know how to do this thing now. And it's not the worst thing in the world. It's actually like fun to do it and experiment with. But how do you get enough protein in your diet? That's what I want to know. I
mean, so it's crazy that we come to this question. People ask me that all the time. But people don't understand there's plant protein, right? Like, and plant protein is like the most complex protein in the whole like breakdown system, and it actually processes in our belly a lot faster than meat protein. And that's why you see a lot more animals eating plant protein. But it's like soy, nuts, like all types of legumes or beans. And those ones are some of the more complex ones. I mean, you can get it in from like anything from like spinach to, broccoli, man. And people don't even understand like the when you do your research and look into different plants, what they bring and what they give to your body, it's so much better. I'm truthfully, my personal goal is to eventually go the raw food diet, and just begin to eat raw foods. Like I don't have a microwave in my house. Like, I'm really trying to focus on like expanding that. But I think we talked about this challenge, right? Like once you take your steps forward, what can you challenge yourself to do a little bit more? But a lot of my protein comes from soy, beans, nuts, vegetables, like high green leafy vegetables, which are higher in iron and stuff like that too as well. So
yeah, I'm definitely on like the mission of figuring out what works for me, and it's always changing. I've experimented with vegetarianism, but like there's a term, I think it's like bio individuality. It's like there's people have this like, oh, nobody should ever eat meat. And it's like, no, some people need meat, and I think if there's like a consensus understanding of people like need and require different things to achieve optimum health, and just understand that it's like, oh yeah, the one size fits all for everybody in anything is the wrong view for anything. So respecting people's like choices and like ability to just figure it out for themselves along the way. That's where we learn and grow, is like allowing ourselves to try new things.
Yeah, definitely. My question to you, I have another question, because you're a meditation and wellness coach. Is that what it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I had to make sure I heard it right. So like, so the deep end of that, like, how does meditation impact your daily routine?
It's my ground floor. It's like, how do I check in with myself before I check in with the world? Like, we're so used to like jumping out of bed and being like, "What's up, world?" without even saying like, "What's up, self?" And whenever we do check back into self, like the mark has moved so much further away than we had thought it was, that we have to find ourselves. And that's, I think, where a lot of anxiety comes in, is where it's like your eyes are closed and it's just like, oh, wait, where did I leave myself the last time I checked in? And sometimes that was a day ago, 3 days ago, 10 days ago, 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So allowing myself to check in every single day, to start the day or to end the day. Like, I'm not like the strictest person in the world, but life is great when I meditate in the morning. Like, if I'm consistent, which I've been pretty consistent over the last couple of years, like, I just know where I'm at. And it doesn't mean that everything's good all the time. Like, I still have anxiety. I still go through like heart math problems and stuff.
I like that heart math.
I just made that up.
Oh man. No, I like that.
But being able to be like, oh, this is what it is, and not allow the illusion or judgment to fucking take the lead and be like, oh yeah, that's that person. Da da da. It's like, no, this is my response in trying to protect myself and casting judgment on somebody else. It's not them. This is me. So taking the accountability every single day is something similar to the alcohol thing. It's just a snowball effect, and just the self-love kind of just comes from that. And yeah, so it's basically everything. And I decided to create a podcast and start bringing it to people and share meditation in a way that looks like this. Like, meditation never looked this fly. Ever.
I respect.
Ever.
Man, let them know. Let them know.
So
let them know.
So
let them know.
That's how I know I found the right thing, though.
Hey, let them know.
I found the right thing, though, because it was like, oh, like a space where like nobody looks like me. It's all Brittany's and Jennifer's, like teaching yoga and meditation. And it's like, well, y'all didn't create it. So it's the first place where I felt like most home, because it was like, oh, you got to be yourself every single day. Like, what better place to be than to just plant the flag and be like, I'm just going to be myself today and not move off of that.
That's deep. Tap back into that history piece, right? Like you talked about, like, I know this is Play No Games, and we want to kind of touch on that aspect, like the history piece behind that meditation aspect.
I feel like I have so much to learn. Like, I'm still such a student. Like, I don't want to say obviously. Some people may not know that like it was like created in India, and like the Buddha, and like his journey of enlightenment and abandoning his family to understand the dynamics of the mind and share that to his country, essentially, and then Buddhism coming to the West through like Ram Dass and Jack Kornfield and this group of individuals who decided to go on like a journey to India and learn it and bring it back to the West. So yeah, I feel like Buddhism for me is kind of like a pool sign where it says like, don't run around the pool, don't dive into like the shallow end, and don't eat your McDouble and leave stuff in the pool. It's just like a rule book. It's just like, yo, like you do these things and life won't be as shitty. And the first thing is like there is suffering. Like life, there's so much suffering, like whether that's physical or mental, and the cause of suffering being the desire of wanting things to be exactly how we want them and be so pampered, and it has to be that way. There's no way that this world can work the way, like without it being my way. And I think meditation just allows us to allow things to be as they are. But Buddhism, actually, like small tangent, but like the history of it and diving into it, I was actually supposed to go on a retreat, a 10-day silent retreat today.
Oh, wow.
I got a text yesterday at like 1 p.m. that said, like, you got accepted to the Vipassana, like Vipassana Hall, like 10-day silent meditation retreat in Washington. It's like 2.5 hours away. We need to know tonight. And I'm like, I have Thanksgiving's plans. Like, I got this, and I was about to go, but they said that I had to wear a mask indoors while meditating and walking around, like even outside. And it's like, you don't talk to people, like it's very isolated, and you don't have a phone, you don't have books, you can't even stretch, you can't do anything other than meditate close to, like, I think it's like 15 hours a day or something like that. Like it's wild. But I'm down for it, but I'm not trying to wear a mask the whole entire time and fight with myself. So maybe I could have learned something from it, but that's like the next part of my education is having a mentor or a teacher or a retreat. And because I'm still such like a noob in this space, it's like I'm a beginner still. Like I've been meditating for like a couple of years. Like I know how to articulate the human experience, and I can make a lot of analogy, but like to really like do my homework, that's the next phase. And that's why I'm so like passionate about it, because it's like, oh, I get to learn and grow and bring people along and allow them an opportunity to be a beginner and share what I've learned thus far and continue to do so over the next 60, 70 years if I'm lucky enough to live that long.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sign me up.
Well, I got a confession.
Well,
I was in a situation. I'm not gonna say any more details. I'm not gonna say any details. I was in a situation, and this chick said, "I'm gonna go to a silent retreat." It is so funny because I want you to know I've suppressed that memory so much, and you say that brought that to me. She's like, "I'm gonna go on a 10-day silent retreat, not say anything," and I was like, "I knew I gotta get out of the relationship."
You should have went with her.
I was like, "Oh no!"
That would have pulled out some shit.
Lots of respect, tons of respect. I just at that point in time of like where I was at and the heat of that situation I was in, I was like, well, shit, she's doing some crazy shit again. 10-day silent sheet. I can't believe it. But anywho, that's not here or there. I just want to share. And now I'm in a different place where I'm like, I can see the benefits of that. So for my players, just, silent retreats ain't nothing wrong with it. You just gotta be silent. It's like, you just wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, you figure out who you are though. And that's the thing, is like not a lot of people are happy with who they are. And like you get to like meet that person like dead in the face. Like
head on. It's a head-on collision with yourself.
I was like, go to therapy. But that's me. But this is it's all right. I just don't think I can be silent for like 10 days.
So in terms of like, someone like myself or possibly a listener who like knows nothing about, let's say, meditation or that world, but let's say they want to get into it, where would be a good, first brick to start? Would it be like a YouTube video? Would it be, going to a specific place?
Yeah. I think trying to find like that willingness. Like I have like a 5-day course that I've been doing with the public and with like corporations, like creative agencies around the city. I've been leading 5-day mini virtual retreats, because the thing with practice is everyone has this idea of what they feel like meditation is. It's like this pristine Himalayan mountains, and there's this guru with white hair and a long beard, and he's just floating and just sitting there. And it's like people cannot get that out of their minds. and to bring it into like physical reality, that it starts exactly where you are. So I have this thing called pillars of daily practice. So like built out into 5 consecutive days. And the first day I teach is like, what's your motivation to be here? It's like why? Like a lot of self-study is initiated by pain. Like honestly, like that's where mine was initiated. It was like, oh shit, like my mom's gone. I don't know who I really am. I've been like in this kind of like mashup between like who my friends think I am and who society thinks I should be, and being completely scared to shit to actually like say what I mean and mean what I say and do it. Like it's so much easier to just sit back and just be like, all right, let me just like be this little guy over here. It's so much easier. Like it's so much easier. So figuring out what our motivation is kind of square one that I present. And that's a question that only you can answer. And going on like the next day, since it's a 5-day program, it's establishing some sort of ritual. Like I think a lot of the times, going back to the first thing, is like we have this image of what we think meditation is, but I'm of the mind of like, yo, you can bring in the things that you identify with. Like I tell people, it's like I listen to like Future, like I listen to Travis Scott, I listen to all that kind of stuff riding around, and I still do the same cool shit, but I still have my morning practice. And you don't have to let go of the things that you identify with. If you're like a Lakers fan, you can wear your Kobe jersey and have like your little shrine and make it like customizable to your own life and your own liking. So you don't have to let go of the things that you identify with. So I'd say create a ritual at home. Sometimes for me, that's like sweeping helps me get to that spot of like, all right, I'm going to clean the house, and then I'm going to get the energy, bring it down. So having like my incense, wash the dishes, sweep the floor, cultivate my space, and then allow like the plane to land. And then it's like, all right, now I'm going to sit. So that's like establishing a ritual, bringing everything in together. Number 3 is finding your teachers. Like there's YouTube University where like all like, I wouldn't even say like all my teachers are meditation teachers. It's like I listen to like my favorite podcast is called Living 4D with Paul Chek, who's a holistic health practitioner, like spiritual guru, like health guru. Like I have all these podcasts, like all these audiobooks, these things that are my teachers when I don't find other people out in the world that are interested in meditating every day or veganism or whatever the things that I'm interested in. It's like there's people that have done it already, that have dedicated their lives, and they're just giving away this knowledge that we can apply to our lives. So whether that's in meditation or whatever, like for this instance, it's meditation, but it spreads over into all these other like genres, and it's kind of like my little like pocketbook of just like influence, and I can just tap in whenever I want. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna take this walk and I'm gonna listen to this like PhD talk about gut microbiome, and I'm just going about my day and I'm learning about how like gut health. Are you crying? Are you crying over here?
What do you got? A cough? What do you got?
Oh, you all right?
He's got tears in his
You all
eyes.
right? You got red eyes. It's okay, bro.
Aaron, I despise you so much. I'm holding down.
You have a cough?
No, my slide went down the wrong bike.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh
you
my
can step out. It's cool.
God. I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, I'm dying.
Man down.
Crying. You good? You that pat? He got you.
I am very passionate.
I know
what you're
I
saying.
see. I wish everybody looked at me like that and then handed me a bunch of money. They're like, we love you so much. We gonna give you all our money. Let me pull out my checkbook.
Well, in the future, I hope our partnership, if things we do that. I want you to know for the last 3 minutes, I was really choking down. And just the human body is a immaculate thing.
Yeah.
Because I was intently listening. I was like, I can't get up and leave.
You can.
But
You
yes,
can.
I worked through that, folks. If you have the,
That was impressive. I didn't even recognize it.
if you have the visual, my God,
He was coughing and all. I was just trying to like.
Yeah,
it wasn't
I
a
was
cough.
like-
It wasn't a cough. I was actually choking on my spit.
Oh,
I
man.
was listening to Aaron.
Dang, you're so dedicated.
I was like, I was like, But yes, that tier was for you as well.
I appreciate
I'm super
it.
sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize at all. All right, so let's just run through this. All right, so find your motivation, create your ritual, find your teachers. Number 4, day 4 would be find your community, and that's a huge part of it because it's like it's a solo 99.9% of it is by yourself. Like you're not gonna have a bunch of people to talk to. Like, but there are people out there that do practice every single day and they can hold you to practice. So finding your community, and that's where kind of like the openness like comes from, is like being able to share these things, being able to have accountability and accept your full self and be like, oh, like I'm not perfect and it's completely cool. And there's these other people that are interested in developing their own practice and taking that long way. It's a long journey. It's like this whole life that we're living, not just this incremental thing. So finding the community. And then the day 5 is when I kind of like mailed it home. I was like, fuck, I don't know anything else to say. Like that seems like all of it. So I always say like day 5 is like at the end of the workshop, it's like, yo, we've meditated 5 days in a row. You just meditated 5 days in a row. Like you just did it. And that's kind of like, that's like the essence of the whole thing is like, no, we're going to do this all together. Like, yeah, I can say all these cool things and I can like make cool like sayings and stuff. But the fact that you decided to show up 5 consecutive days is what I leave people with. And then I say, go back to square one whenever you're lost. What's your motivation? So it's this revolving cycle where it's like you can enter that spot anytime, but it always comes down to the person though. It's like, do you really want to do it or do you not?
And do you have people that kind of bail on like the second day?
All the time. It's like I'll build out like the 5-day thing. Like I like shot a really dope commercial. Shout out Nick Pop.
Shout out.
And Rob Martinez, who helped me put together like
shout out
awesome commercial that we produced that I send to like these companies that I work with and stuff. And it's like they send it out and everyone's like, yeah, we're gonna meditate. Everybody, like we all need it, right? Yeah. And it's like day 1 comes and it's just like 7 of us in there and like a company of like 100 and something. And it's just like, oh, so nobody, and not to shame anybody, because like it comes in your life when you need it. Like it's always there. Shame.
You poor souls.
No, but it does come at like I didn't start until I was like 28, like because I really really needed it, and people need it at different times. Like I think you can be inspired enough to dedicate yourself to practice, but like a kick in the balls will fucking get you there.
So one of the things that I definitely had for you was like, I was going to ask when it comes to, I know at least when it comes to when I do therapy, you know, I had to deal with the stigma of like, you know, let's just say, and I'll just pick in my own community because I'll just say that, you know, Black folks in therapy, they're like, I don't got no problems. So I'm like, nigga, please. Anywho, but I have a question for you when it comes to like I'm not gonna lie. It's been a one I really held down. Like I was dying like 10 minutes ago. But anyway, I just want to ask you when it comes to getting people or having skeptics when it comes to mindfulness and when it comes to meditation, how do you usually deal with things like that in that realm?
Like when somebody is skeptical to me?
Skeptical of like the meditation process, or like, do you focus on getting them like to buy in, or how do you, when it comes to people of Black and brown communities, like getting into meditation, how do you help them get over those stigmas?
I just provide the opportunity to sit. Like that's it. Like I can't convince somebody to do something that they don't want to do. It's just like I can like create the space and welcome people in wherever they're at, because some people are way more experienced than I am. Some people are like, it's the first time. It's like, can I show up fully to those engagements? And I can't heal the world's problems, but I can carve out little oases along the way and try to make it as hospitable as possible.
Yeah.
That's what my mom taught me how to do. Just make things hospitable for whoever decides to show up in whatever capacity. But like, I'm not going to change somebody that if somebody wants to like fight over it, I'm like, you can fight yourself.
Man.
Well, I think it's time for commercial.
Let's do
Sounds
it.
about right.
Let's do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Christ. If you're reading this, it's already too late. I'm dying. I was choking on some spit, and my man Aaron called me out, and I have like this tear stain down my arm. And if you thought that was funny, you should subscribe to the channel. And I promise you, there's more things like this to come because our guests be exposing us. Our guests are our family. And if you want to be a part of our family, you hit that subscribe button. You like and you donate. We have these fun buttons I would love to push. I would shame myself, but I can't push them because I need more of your support. $sign Hero Rob.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching, ka-ching is how
Ka-ching,
you can help grow this
ka-ching.
podcast. We have bigger, better things that we want to show you, but we need your help. We need you to be a part of this glow up process. We
Ka-ching.
want you to be ahead of the hipster curve. When they're like, oh, Play No Games podcast? Yeah. Oh, yeah. We know about them. Well, of course. Well. They're really good. And wouldn't you want to be ahead of the curve? So if you want to find us on Instagram, we're at lookhere.fir. Don't get confused. That's our brother channel. We have the blind dating game show that I'm not going to lie, it was immaculate to put on. And I'm pretty sure you should be watching it. But long story short, do those things. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. We're there. And during this time, it's the holiday season. And if you aren't with your family, and I mean the Play No Games family, you need to follow and subscribe. It's that time of the year. All right.
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram at Aaron Robinson, AARONROBINSON. Make sure to subscribe and check out my podcast called Opening Presence. That's Presence with a C, with Aaron Robinson, the podcast about creative self-realization. Yeah, I guess just be on the lookout for content, cool projects, collaborations, all that jazz, and the next meditation workshop coming up. That's about it.
Hey, yeah. What's good with you? It's Arthur Dixon. You can follow me on Instagram at Chef Boar Dixon. You also follow me at Dixon Dynasty on Instagram as well. If you would like a nice little food and workout, you can follow me, tap in, lock in, holla, peace.
Yeah, right here. You got fall costs. Yeah. He's got CABS something, right?
At CossionV13 at
Yeah,
gmail.com.
Yeah, he doesn't like Gary V.
I don't.
And Meg the Stallion.
Oh my. If you want to follow me, you can. I don't really post on Instagram.
He's secretly.
Follow my TikTok. How about that? Saucy Cossie.
Oh God. Oh Lord. Yo. Before we get off into some like other things, like I really, when we try to do interviews, like we try to be a little different. Like we really want. Of course. Hell yeah. Like we don't want to try to ask you so many like generic questions of like, you know, what you ask on like other podcasts where like we want people to see you in the light that you are on your own show and just a little bit differently. And before we even go further, I just want to make sure that we set space for my man, Open Presence. Like, please talk about that. Please talk about your inspiration of you doing that and like why it's important to you.
Ooh. Well, Opening Presence is basically like it means like everything to me because it's a place where I can be my full self, but then allow other people to come on and share their stories. Because a lot of the times we only listen to like The Rock or Gary V, Cause's favorite person in the world. It's like there's only a couple of people that get people's attention.
Yes.
And there's so many people that have wisdom, like every single person at this table. It's like, and throughout like being in Portland for the last 5 years, I've met so many amazing people, like so many great artists, entrepreneurs, and to be able to spend time and allow them the opportunity to share their stories and the things that they've learned along the way. Because that's why it's called Opening Presence is like not everybody's path is this linear, like, oh yeah, you do these steps and then you become this person. That's what like people think. And this world that we live in is like, oh yeah, you got to do that. There's so many different ways to go about to get to any goal, and to speak with people that are successful or either on the path or figuring it out on their own. If we can give a gift and like open that gift of new awareness, and when somebody shares something, they're like, oh, I never thought about that. Let me apply that to my own life. That's what it's all about, is just like, I guess, just coming together to like find solutions and grow and learn together. So yeah, it's been like a really expansive process. Like I've been able to process, it's a cathartic thing too. It's like I get to process like grief and like really shining a light on like how I was raised and these patterns that I found myself in, and working through them in real time and putting words to it instead of just like thinking that I have to do it on my own. And it's like to speak it out is something that I don't think enough people do, because you don't really know if you've really learned anything unless you're able to articulate it, because it just exists as just, I don't know, tension within yourself, but to release it and then to like put it out there, and hopefully if somebody else can like vibe with it and like be like, oh, like that really helped. Like I'm going to try that like diet, or I'm going to like confront my abusive father. Not that mine was abusive, at least intentionally. But yeah, it's just like a place for growth and expansion. It's like, all right, cool. Like I can do whatever the fuck I want.
That's super dope.
One of the things that I kind of wanted to bring up before we do our transition is when I was on Opening Presents, like, and me just getting caught up with your show, things like that. One of the things that I at least want to give you credit for, and I don't know if anyone's giving credit for this, is being able to have a lot of different people on your show and you meeting them where they're at. Where like your latest one with Silver Chalice, and then the photography one, or one with it was so good getting caught up with your show, where like I just wanted to ask you, at least with this, when it comes to meeting people where they're at, whether you agree with what they are saying or not, what do you do to prepare for your show, right? To just be open to whatever experience. And I'm just leaving it broad because I don't want you to, shoot shots or anything like that. Where it's kind of like, how do you prepare to be open to really feel like, and just have that person just be welcome to your show, just like from one podcast to the next? I just want to give you your kudos for that, because in your latest one, I was like, oh, interesting, thought process. And I'm not going to bring up that particular situation, but like, I was like, as I was like getting ready, I was like, that's an interesting thought. And like, from a podcaster standpoint, like I just felt from you were like, I could go differently with this, but I respect that so much that a lot of people would turn that away, but you made that into a learning experience. So to put the question all together is, how do you create or prepare having an open, dialogue and meeting someone out on your show?
I think not having like a directive, like trying to guide people like beforehand, like there's no notes on this table. It's like, we just trust that we're going to get to where we need to go and we're working together. And I think that's the thing that I go in with, is just like, I'm on this person's team. It's like, I don't have the intro. Like all my intros are like, hello, welcome to, what are you doing? Like, and I'm just bumbling around, but it's just like, how can I show them that I'm out here just trying to learn this thing too? A lot of the people that I have on, it's like their first time ever being on a podcast. And I'm like, yo, I'm still learning this thing too. Let's go on this ride together. And I think I inspire that like willingness for them, and just be like, yo, like you can be yourself and we can go wherever we need to go. So I think that's something, just whenever I have like notes and stuff written down too, it's like I'm paying attention more to the notes and I'm not with the person. So how can I be really present with the person? And it always, it becomes very obvious like where we're going, like pretty like a couple minutes in, I'm like, all right, I know where we're going with this. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth. Other times I'm like, I really want like the guest to just like say something that they're inspired about to get me. Like I want to be like the person that's interviewed. Like, so I want somebody to just kind of inspire like my own curiosity, and like going back to just like connecting dots.
opening doors.
Yeah, opening doors, and then we can travel down them, and then it's like, oh, like reaching back, yo, like there's not any further, and then they come down, and then they like hit something, and it just opens up a whole nother cavity, and you're like, oh shit, we're going down this other thing over here, and then to compile on top of that, I think is finding grace, like for self first, and then you can share that with other people. Because that's the thing that I didn't give myself when I was young. I was like, I didn't give myself grace. It was like, yo, like super judgmental, and it's like it has to be perfect and this, and I held myself back so much because I was so fearful and judgmental of self. So if somebody else like does trips and falls like with their vernacular or whatever, it's like, no worries, like what are you talking about? Like this is nothing. So having grace and allowing somebody to try something new and be there for them, like that's a very a beautiful place that I enjoy. Like that's the place that I love. Yeah, awesome. Shout out to moms for that too.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's dope.
Yeah, definitely shout out to moms. Yeah,
moms all around, man. That was kind of refreshing to hear, like to be able to put someone in a space that's like relaxing, allow them to speak and be open with how they feel and where they're at emotionally and mentally, and just kind of meet them. Like Robert's been saying the whole time, you always meet people where they're at. And you know, I don't really know you. This is my first real introduction of you, and I can already tell like there's this sense of like, I know where I am, so I'm gonna help you get to know where you are.
Yeah,
and that's dope.
Yeah, part of that too is pushing people off the fucking ledge too, because that's the thing. Like I want to like you're safe, and I can see your potential, and I know you can fly, but you've been afraid to fly.
Yeah,
and just curating and cultivating space to that point, and just
pushing. Yeah,
and then they like, oh shit, fucking doing it. Yeah. But then if they resist too much and like bite me in the arm, it's like, yo, that's what I had a problem with when I was young, because like I hadn't self-realized enough to the point where I was like pushing people towards their potential, but then they look around and be like, yo, you're not even doing it. You're like working towards your potential. What are you talking about? So I was kind of a fraud. So I was like, oh, like let's be friends and let's build each other up and stuff. Not articulating it like with like the clarity that I have now. But I would always run into that thing where it's like people would feel me pushing them, and then they would reach back and like bite my arm or stab me in the back or whatever, and just completely blow this thing up. But now I have like a lot more tact, and if somebody doesn't want to go there, it's like, all right, cool, like meet me in 6 months and maybe we can kind of build this thing again. But I'm not dependent on anybody trying to do something that they're not ready for.
Yeah, I hear that. That's dope.
Well, we're gonna, you know what? I like that, doing things you're not ready for. Let's see if you're ready for this.
Oh,
so, listeners, you'll probably have heard this already, but you know, by this time the show will have probably been canceled. But
maybe,
probably might cancel by this time. So I want to just throw this at you as we switch. I want you to rank out of these women.
Oh my!
What?
I know where you're going.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Go. I just edited it, and I was like, "Yeah, you was wilding it out."
All right, I like that.
So, Aaron,
yeah,
if you can rank these women just on physical attractiveness, between Sierra,
top,
Doja Cat,
bottom,
Meg Thee Stallion,
bottom,
and well, I have to throw in Cardi B because it was said. How would you rank them from 1 to 4?
Sierra's at the top always.
I don't know, but I have more memory of Sierra. She's not new for me though.
Sierra's always at the top of the list.
According to Kosh, you can find a Sierra type girl in New York in 5 minutes.
I don't know. I still fuck with like just like the Doja Cat like aesthetic. That's where I'm at.
That's where I'm at. I said number one.
And she's fun. Like she looks fun. Like I don't know any of like her music or anything.
I don't know.
But like, all right. But then I go Sierra 2 for sure. Oh, I do like I would go Cardi, then Megan.
Thank you. They were giving me crap last week or 2 weeks ago for putting Megan pretty at the bottom. Maybe I said some other stuff about Meg.
Oh no, we're canceled. This episode's coming out Thanksgiving. Yeah, the Meg Thee Stallion interview that we wanted not happening.
I may have said she looked like a linebacker.
Yeah. He didn't say that. Yeah, thank you. So no, well, one, we kind of want to get things kind of like started up with. Let's just start with this. One of the things that I really appreciate about when we were on is like I can tell that, not in a bad way, like you have a lot of mileage and wisdom. And the one thing that I really appreciated about you is like you just knew a lot of shit about a lot of shit. And one of he does. He just
a lot of shit about a lot of shit.
He does. Like I would pick him to be on the game show because he'd be like, you know what? London. It would be right. London. It would be right. So I guess the question I want to ask you is, you know, one of the things, as a lot of people know, is, you know, when it comes to relationships, right? Like we're saying you were really dropping some major jewels when I was on your show, and like, while you're here, I want to give you your flowers, my guy. Like I really do. Like you really get this shit. And I guess I want to ask you is like, if you could go back 5 years into your life, what would you tell your younger self? Maybe you can keep it as a 1 to 3, or what would you tell yourself about, you know, interpreting and understanding what love is?
Shit, I'm still trying to figure that shit out.
Ah, damn.
Okay, no. But for real though, it's like learn to love yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where it all comes from. Because whenever the mind gets wrapped up in like some fantasy projection, because you went on a date with somebody and you're going through the internal like mapping things out. It's like, oh, okay, so when I figure out when she really likes me and I tell her that I don't want to be in and I'm not ready, it's like, no, like you're projecting out into the future to something that hasn't happened. Like, are you being loving to yourself right now? Mm-hmm. And if you can always at any point, like, am I being loving to myself right now? I think that's a great place to just wipe the slate clean and just be present with what is. And I think that's the place where I try to operate from. It doesn't always happen because like when you're on a roll at the table, it's just like, oh, let's keep on. And it's just like, no. Don't get ahead of yourself. Like, is this loving to yourself right now? That's something, because I would just place my value on give the keys to a fucking maniac and just be like, all right, don't crash it, and just get whipped around, like my heart just thrashed around, and it's just like, God damn, like why do I keep doing this to myself? Because it's not what somebody else did, it's you fucking giving them that power to do it and handing the keys to the same person. It's like just the same person with the same traumas, the same flaws, and you keep doing it. Whether that's like the pretty girl that you just can't give up or whatever, but you keep running back to that same heroine. And it's just like, yo, like, how do I call myself to the table and be like, yo, you got to fucking fix this shit. And a lot of the times it's just a self-worth thing. I don't value myself.
Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary, Aaron fucking Robinson. There you go. Aaron, this is exactly like, I promise you, I didn't want to, like, I knew he was gonna say this shit. Like, I was like, of course, he's the GOAT. Of course he's gonna say this exactly how I would say it. And the reason why I kind of want like to put it in that way is like literally like I'm not just trying to say this as what I do as a profession, is like, yo, we're really trying to grow up. Like, one of the things I really appreciate about Aaron and all of us is like, we're men, and like there's not a place to talk about this stuff. There's literally not a place to talk about. That's why I felt like, at least on Aaron's show, like being able to talk about some stuff I really don't talk about, you know, on the show. Yeah. Where I'm like, he brought that. And one of the things to end the show with is like, I just want to have like an open conversation with all of us about like, yo, like, what do we all believe in this? I want this to be like a collective thing where like a top 3, like a basic top 3 of like, what should men be doing to, you know, be prepared for relationships. Ooh. And I think I got the right group of guys to do that, because we have the age, we have the experience, we have the we got the mental mileage. We out here like Alakazam out here. We got big brains over here. Yeah. And I know the 3 things that we will settle with, and I know one of them has to be self-worth.
Man.
I will be so satisfied to do this with these gentlemen sitting here to end the show. Okay. And I was wondering, could we all do that together as a team?
Sure. You guys go first. I want to hear it. I want to hear.
Yeah. So, shit. I guess I'll start. 3 things. Definitely self-worth is always the top. You know, just being able to, if you can't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. And that's something that Aaron's already talking about. Like, self-love conquers all love, because once you learn how to love yourself, you know how to give it away. And I think that's important, right? Like, in any relationship, when it comes to friendships, partnerships, situationships, whatever the ship may be, if you know how to understand your own ship, everyone else's ship is perfectly fine, right? And my second would have to be communication, right? Like, we touch on it even in this process, right? We go in and we speak on how we could communicate to the opposite person, whatever that person may be, and understanding in that process. Again, it goes back to the first one, self-love. If you self-love yourself, when someone speaks on that process of their own self-love, and that communication is clear between the two, you get understanding, right? And that is what brings things forward and brings things to the next page. So it's being able to communicate with your whole heart, right? Like, and not with the intention of like, I'm speaking on these things because I want to speak on these things. I'm speaking on these things because my heart says I need to speak on these things. And in that process, me speaking on those things, I want your heart to grow, right? And it's coming from a place of love, ultimately. Third one is really hard for me. But I think that for me, it goes hand in hand with communication, would be to listen, right? Like, we have a tendency to dominate conversations, especially as men here. Like, we have a tendency to dominate those, but a lot of the times, it like we talk about, goes back to the first one. If you listen to yourself in this self-love process, and you listen to your partner in this self-love process, that communication becomes very clear of what I need to say. So being able to listen, open up your ears, and just hear what they have to say, and understand and recognize where it comes from. So I think it kind of taps in and touches on each one. Each one is very important when it comes to communication. In order to communicate, you got to listen to. So I think they go hand in hand. So.
Those are 3 good ones right there.
Embrace yourself.
3 good ones. I'll add one more to that. And I think, I don't know how to define it, maybe like maturity in a way. And I think where that kind of comes in is, you know, we all want, quote unquote, a girl that's, you know, bad. But
Sierra.
There you go.
Hey,
let 'em
know. Sierra. This beat is
automatic.
But like, there's this quote. I don't remember who I heard it from, but it's like, men fall in love with what they see. Women fall in love with what they hear. That's why women wear makeup and men lie. And I think as you get older, you know, and as you mature, you realize like it's much more, especially as us as men, you have to look past like appearances and really see like the person behind that. I think women develop in a different way. They look past that initially, but then that's why also they like older guys who are more developed, and that's, you know, that's their thing. Our thing is we want attractiveness. We want someone we can put on our Instagram, someone we can brag about, pretty much. And I think there's a level of maturity you have to gain to be able to look past that and see like what really is going to be there. 'Cause first thing to go is appearance. Just like in sports, first thing to go is speed. So yeah.
One of the things I want to add to this conversation is this quote I just pulled up really quick for my guys. I want for you all to hear this. Love others without the fear of loss, and just do good things. I feel like love is very conditional for a lot of men. Like, I can say that for a lot of people, but for men, I feel like love is conditional, where like, if she does this or she looks like this, I'm going to do all these different things. I feel like the vulnerability that we really want to have is, can you just literally love a person, and however it pans out, it just pans out, because the love we give to people, whether that is, you know, intimate, sexual, and guys, That's two different things. Intimacy and sexual love, two different things. Friendship, family. We were put on this earth to give those things to people. And when you give that and it's received, that's a beautiful thing. And that person tells you in that moment. And when I say this moment that they felt that, you did your job. The future oriented stuff is that fugazi shit that you'll have to cross a bridge when you get there. And I just think if we have this moment where you just love, because that's one of our superpowers, because we're all enamored with Marvel, DC, all these different things, right? Your superpower as us humans, we're like, I may not be able to speak Spanish, right? But I can show so much love to a person who we may not speak the same language, where they get that this person loves me and wants to help. And that's one of the things that I want to instill with my dudes is, what's the harm of just being vulnerable and just loving just to love? Get out of your head that, oh, if I love this person, it's supposed to work. Just love to love. So that's one of the things I definitely wanted to, just share too as well.
Mm-hmm. Unconditional.
Unconditional.
Yeah, that's tough. Can we reset the question again?
Of course.
I was like lost in your.
So I would say top 3. And we went like individually, but I was wanted to be collective. But I'm so free
for sure
with it, where it's kind of like things to young men, right, or just men in general, about like things about just overall, just like love, right? Where like things that you should know about giving and receiving love.
Yeah, damn. There's still so much to learn, but I think a great place to start is like shining a light on our examples. Like, what was our parents' relationship like? Because that will a lot of the times shine a light on exactly where your pitfalls are. Like, I look at my dad and my mom's relationship, I'm like, okay, how the fuck am I gonna get past this? Like, emotionally unavailable father who does not communicate, a mother who can be smothering sometimes, but like loves but doesn't know how to create boundaries. So that's something that over a lot of years of just like trauma and just like going through the shit and realizing that, oh shit, I don't have boundaries. How do I create boundaries for myself with people? And then it's like, yo, I'm not communicating. How can I communicate? Because my silence is fear for being left or being unlovable. So it's like, let me just stay in this holding pattern, because I got here, like I got next to this little dime. But let me just be quiet, because if I say my truth, then maybe she's going to go somewhere else and get with somebody else. And then I'm just going to be alone. I'm going to so those are like the subconscious things that may not be on the table. We're not like in the moment. We're not thinking about it. It just feels like discomfort. And it's just like, oh, I don't know how to like trust myself in these situations. So I think we can learn a lot from our parents. I'm still like learning so much just from observing. And I think, the second thing it goes back to the self-love thing, but it's like overall health is self-love. So it's like, how can we like create health in our lives, and a dedication to the health, like dedication to the going to the gym, dedication to figuring out what diet works for us. Like, how are we gonna like operate like to that place that we believe that we can, if we're not even like trying to get to that spot? Because it's like, yo, it's like, if you want like a bad one, or if you want one that checks all these boxes, best believe she has some boxes that need to get checked too. And if you don't check any of those boxes, it's like, you better check a couple of those as well. And it's like, we're so capable of just fucking going out on a run or lifting some weights or eating better or whatever. So I think when a woman finds somebody who's passionate about something, or at least gives a fuck, like that already sets you apart from half of the people that are out there swiping. It's like, oh, like he's got, even if it's fucking video games, it's like, doesn't mean you can't fucking do crunches or whatever. But the fact that you're passionate about something and you're willing to do something about your life, I think women find that attractive. So I think that goes into the self-love part, because it's you're willing to invest in yourself. I think the third thing, at least for me, I'm just trying not to be so fucking serious about everything. Like, like, can I allow myself to just have fun with somebody?
Damn.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like projecting, like, oh, what do they want? Like type of thing, and I'm trying to like wiggle my way out of something I don't want to. But I'm just like, yo, like if you're enjoying each other's time, why are you fucking, like I mentioned this earlier, like why are you scripting like a page that may not even be part of the book?
Oh my god!
I just thought that one too.
Oh my gosh! Oh my god, yo, Sharinga! Oh my gosh, I'm dying! Oh my gosh, for my nerds. Anyway, wow, that is
Great.
Sir Goldington himself. Wow, Plato in the dark with a tablet. Kobe. I mean KD. Anywho, yo,
Diamonds, man, diamonds. Drop some sweet jewels on y'all, man. I said that from the jump, though. It's been nothing but jewels.
Yes, second that one.
I just feel like picking on you, man. I love you so much. I just want to say this. Hey, I really appreciate you hopping on, our show. Hopefully, you had a chill, relaxed time. Hopefully you want to come back and like literally, hopefully for my audio and visual listeners, like, yo, go check him out.
Yes.
He's literally in my Wednesday, Friday rotation of when I, working on my squats, and then my Friday podcast rotations where I'm getting caught up. I've missed so much, so I got so much to catch up with. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, when you meet a person that genuinely wants to help people just like grow and be different, you got to tune into Aaron. And that's one of the main reasons why I had to have him on the show. Y'all just know us. We just don't have just random people on here because we're really trying to put y'all on to have and be on a higher vibration. And you're going to get that from a self-health part. And then there's also a whole like universal portion when it comes to life, because he definitely embodies those things. And hopefully you take that compliment well, because you definitely do those things. But this has been the latest installment of the Play No Games Play No Games podcast / show with my boy Aaron. Aaron, do you have any thoughts before we get out of here?
I'm just grateful for you guys to have me on. I'm really excited to just continue on this journey, to keep learning and growing, and like they'll catch up whenever they decide to. This isn't about anybody else. It's us staying focused on what we need to do, and they'll come.
And this is why I appreciate this guy so much. He keeps me grounded. But at the end of the day, this has been the Play No Games / podcast / show with Aaron. Go catch up with the stuff. All of this stuff will be in the description. And as we do what we do, I'm going to make it do what it do, baby. So
hit subscribe, like the video, share.
Yes, he did it.
Do all
He
that.
did it. I was really prompting you to do that.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't want to be the last voice.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for
Arthur.
watching.
Peace.
There you go.
Probably wondering if I think of you. Sorry, I'm for the bag right now. Yeah, I'm for the bag right now. Yeah, for the bag that I never had. Yeah, you probably mad right now. Yeah, I got a 2-piece now. But shit, I think they call them groupies now.